for President Tinubu's state visit to China.
First Gender and Social Norms Summit holds in Abuja.
Nigeria receives Mpox vaccines from the United States.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss latest GDP growth figures.
This week, the National Bureau of Statistics released new GDP figures for the country, indicating a 3.19% increase in Q2 growth from the corresponding figure in 2023.
Absolutely. Now, last year, the growth figure was pegged at 2.51%. But the current growth rate is attributed to improved performance of the services sector.
These Q2 figures have been described as the second highest performance by the economy in the last 5 quarters, a bit lower than Q4 of 2023.
And other sectors with modest growth in Q2 include the industry sector, non-oil sector, and the agricultural sector. But the oil sector did not fare so well. The average daily oil production decreased to 1.41 million barrels per day from 1.57 in Q1.
Industry watchers are also insisting that the financial and insurance sector remained a top performer in Q2 GDP growth figures.
And there are others, of course, who have the opinion that the hike in monetary policy rate in the early part of the year by the Central Bank of Nigeria took a toll on output in the second quarter of this year.
They also explain that the growth through the services sector does not give the economy a clean bill of health. Most of these issues came up when the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edo, unveiled the Implementation Committee of the Accelerated Stabilization and Advancement Plan, ASAP.
Now, this plan intends to revitalize key sectors of the economy for sustainable development, and it will be applied in 8 priority areas. Now, the plan is also expected to sort out key challenges affecting current reform initiatives to stimulate development. So these will form our focus on the latest GDP growth figures today on Good Morning Nigeria. And I welcome you to the program. I am Claire Adilabu Abdulrazak.
And I'm Ademola Adeoye. We are live on the network service of the NTA. We'll join our colleague Dennis Adeguloye for the news in just a moment. A much later newspaper review. So let's begin with the news. Dennis, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Demola, and good morning, Claire. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. President Bola Tinubu is to embark on a state visit to China in the first week of September. Presidential advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngalale, announced this at a press briefing in the State House. The presidents will also attend the 2024 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, also scheduled for the 5th to 7th of September.
This engagement is expected to yield very tangible, immediate, and future dividends for the sake of the Nigerian economy and for the benefit of the Nigerian people. And the President is placing a premium on deliverables, ensuring that this is not a talk shop, but that this is something that will yield results for our people, justifying any expenditure.
First Lady Oluremi Tinubu is seeking the enforcement of stiffer laws and punishments to perpetrators of sexual abuse and other forms of gender-based violence in the country. She made the call at the first Gender and Social Norms Summit 2024, organised by the United Nations Population Fund in collaboration with the Renewed Hope Initiative. The summit again shines the spotlight on the menace of gender-based violence.
Even our babies are violated. Do we allow this trend to continue, or do we look the other way? That is why I'm calling on the law enforcement agencies, the Inspector General of Police, the Attorney General of the Federation, the Chairman of the National Assembly, to appropriate and enforce stiffer laws and punishments for perpetrators of rape, sexual violence, and other forms of gender-based violence.
The federal government has taken delivery of 10,000 doses of Jynneos vaccine donation from the United States government through the U.S. Agency for International Development to strengthen the national response to the current Mpox outbreak. At the official handing over of the vaccine at the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency headquarters in Abuja, Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Patti, said the federal government remains resolute in improving the health of citizens.
Thank you very much and most sincerely to the United States government for this wonderful donation that will help our Nigerian citizens.
Nigeria government has put together a vaccination plan. So there's a plan how to use these vaccines effectively.
As the 7-day nationwide warning strike by the National Association of Resident Doctors enters its third day, hospitals in the nation's capital are experiencing notably low activity.
I feel so bad, so pain. Because of this transport again, you came, you didn't see anybody. Please, whatsoever that kidnap should release them because of our heads.
And they sincerely they have been attending to people in emergency ward. But once they see that your case is not that too tedious, they will send you back.
Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris has called on the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, to further strengthen mechanisms to addressing the challenges of rapid spread of misinformation, disinformation and fake news, hindering progress and eroding trust between government and the people. This was when the minister paid a working visit to the BBC headquarters in London. Special advisor to the Minister on Media, Rabiu Ibrahim, says the minister's visit to the BBC is part of bridge building and cooperative efforts between Ministry of Information and National Orientation and foreign and local media houses. The minister met the BBC's top management, headed by Jonathan Munro, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of BBC News and Director of the BBC World Service, where he canvassed the need to foster understanding as a key element in driving development. Well, that's the news for now on Good Morning Nigeria. The programme will continue after this break with Ademola and Claire.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear in color, we stand out in demand, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Diversity is unique, we have more than the solution.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry love. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
When you hear about the domestic FGN US dollar bond, Do you think of a win-win investment or an opportunity to be a part of the nation's development? I see them all. The domestic FGN US dollar bond is low risk, higher returns, and secure. Invest with a minimum of $10,000. Download the form from www.dmo.gov.ng. Complete and submit with your evidence of payment to any of the issuing houses, financial advisors, or receiving banks. The offer is open to Nigerian residents, Nigerians with savings abroad, Nigerian diaspora, and institutional investors. For more information, consult your bankers or financial advisors on how to invest in the domestic FGN US dollar bond. Be part of something greater. The domestic FGN US dollar bond. Let's prosper together.
When you wake up in the morning, you want to start your day. Start with Kellogg's, It is tasty and nutritious. That's why we start our days with Kellogg's, So you can reach your grades, stay active and alert. Start your day right, 'cause breakfast time is Kellogg's time. You can reach your grades, stay active and alert. Start your day right, 'cause breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
I always want what's best for my family. That's why we ensure we start our day with a Kellogg's breakfast, fortified with essential vitamins and minerals to stay active and alert to reach your grades.
'Cause breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
Darling natural twists blend with her hair over time.
Yeah, that's perfect.
She's really more beautiful every week. Darling natural twists get better every day, just like you.
Relief is coming. More wages, reduced costs. Nigeria's national minimum wage is now 70,000 naira and it will be reviewed every 3 years. The federal government will commence immediate implementation and state governments are being encouraged to follow suit. With the presidential CNG initiative, transport costs are coming down. Are you a car owner or a transporter? Visit www.pci.gov.ng to find out how you can benefit from switching to CNG.
This is the renewed hope. A new edition of TV Guide is out.
This time, we got up close and personal with the transformational legislator, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Barrel Jibrin.
It created a difference in terms of representation through interventions that have brought an unprecedented infrastructural development to my area.
This edition is a compendium of mind-blowing stories for your reading pleasure, ranging from technology, entertainment, economy, media, politics, family, and lots more.
It is indeed a park of excitement as we take you through every aspect of life. Pick up your copy and get abreast with issues and trending features within our space.
TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and that God has kept, together as one indivisible entity.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next is Newspaper Review.
All right, time to welcome Chukwudi Okodebuaja to, of course, do his usual. Chukwudi, good morning and good to see you again.
It's time for me to welcome you as well. How are you doing? Good morning. Hello, Demo. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and you?
You look great, actually.
Thank you.
That's not to play down Claire's sartorial outlook. She too is looking simply, you know.
She's welcome back.
Why must
she took a break?
Simply.
I didn't. But you know, I didn't take any break. I was only doing other chores, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay.
Yes.
That's the life of a broadcaster.
I was on the news yesterday, so.
We don't complain at all, let alone on the air.
Exactly. But the one is here. I think he's been doing
good to see you again.
Yes.
Standing in for you.
All right. Let's quickly begin with the leadership newspaper. And I'll just begin right from the top of the masthead. It says, alleged terrorism financing, police squeeze Ajero today. And NAD, as the Association of Resident Doctors strike, consultants, nurses overwhelmed, patients stranded. Just below the nameplate, PIA, host communities demand increase of 3% funding allocation. Details of that is on page 4. End killings, kidnapping, banditry now. Can Sultan urge Tinubu? It's on page 4. Diabetic patients panic as drug prices rise by 800%. Comes with 2 riders there. Insulin rises to 26,000 from 3,000. Glucometer 30,000 from 6,000. And someone says, I spend 200,000 monthly to manage his diabetes. And this paper did quite a beautiful graphic of what can be done. The dietary rules, herbal treatment, warning against excess sugar intake, and all of that. It's right here on the front page of Leadership. 53 killed by floods in Northeast is on page 7. 14.6% of Nigerians abuse drugs, NDLEA, also on page 14. MPOX, WHO appeals for funding, page 7. And Biafra, FG engaging EU to extradite Simon Ekpa, DHQ. It's on page 7. Demola.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. I have the Blueprint newspaper with me, and above the nameplate, arrest resurgence of killings, abductions. Can NSCIA charged federal government? Details of the story can be found on page 6. Then we have Edo polls. INEC concludes ward PVC collection set for mock accreditation. The story is on page 8. Without MSME, 80% Nigerians will be jobless. Shatima planned Tinubu's China trip to attract 3 trillion investment presidency. IMF hinges 3.1% economic growth on reforms. Details of that story, it's on page 8. Then we have 3 years after police destroy recovered cache of arms, IEDs in Niger, or in Niger. Army will defend democracy, Lagbaja assures. Details also on page 8. Cost savings measure strengthens telco service delivery. ICPC inaugurate FIRS anti-corruption unit. On page 20, Amotekun arrests 35-year-old man for defiling minor in Oshun. Details on page 14. Be balanced in your reportage of Nigeria. Federal government tells BBC orders. Then we have the picture of the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, visit to the BBC World Office in London, and also the Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, presenting a souvenir to the outgoing European ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS. Chooks, over to you.
Thank you, Demola. Let me start on a positive note. The minister is urging foreign media, that's the Minister of Information and National Orientation, urging them to balance their reports about, Nigeria. Because if they don't do that, they tend to create mistrust, lack of trust between government and the people. This is very important for the simple fact that many Nigerians sometimes prefer to listen to news about their country from the lips of people who do not live in Nigeria.
Because they believe they will be very objective.
They'll be objective. They'll be objective, but sometimes too, they miss the point.
Yeah, do.
There's nothing that comes close to the man who is embedded in the community and knows what the situation is. Fine, the BBC with its huge resources, BBC for instance, could say, oh, we have reporters all over the globe and all that. But it's not quite like NTA having people in every nook and cranny of the country. We are in a better position to tell the story. So for me, what the minister is saying is quite important. But for me, what's more important is for us to rise, to occupy our space in terms of disseminating information as well. We can't counter the BBC, Voice of America, Deutsche Welle, CNN, for instance, in terms of muscle and all that. But we can tell our stories in such a way that our credibility is not doubted for 1 minute. So let us be up and doing. The space is now open for everybody, whether you're talking online platforms or straight broadcasting, satellite or terrestrial, whatever it is. Let us not be the ones that are edged out in a competition that we can also robustly establish, make our own points. But the minister's call is quite in order.
Let's look at the NAT strike again. We just saw clips there during the highlights of the morning news. Patients complaining and all that. And Chukwudi, you said something this morning about the population of patients, at the public hospitals.
Yes. Yes.
It's not really a good time. Well, there is no good time for anything anyway. For anything
actually,
negative.
When I raised it a few days ago, I told Nyere that I practically became a spokesman for the hospital because one elderly man couldn't understand why they were visiting further ailment to the one he brought to the hospital. And I said, Papa, take it easy. When I brought a boy I knocked down some time ago, and I was also exasperated, the nurse said, I have been here for the past 4 days. I've not gone home. I now do the job of 3 people. I looked at this woman. I said, please, I'm not trying to exaggerate. The hospitals are overwhelmed. Really overwhelmed.
They are overwhelmed.
I don't know if you...
with this ongoing strike.
Yeah, by the resident doctors. That, of course, aggravates it all.
Yes, make it worse.
And I'm sure, Demola, you probably would have discussed the reasons for the strike.
It's the abduction of one of them.
Yes. And again, when you just oppose that on what is happening, the effect of does it balance?
It doesn't quite balance. But then the doctors are trying to make a point. Remember that Indian doctors just a few days ago, their own person was not just